the conversation or maybe what they have posted about or their resume.
Mm,
Um, it may not be the best fit for you. And for me and
girl.
for my business and my organization and the culture, right?
Mhm.
So that is definitely something I've learned. I've had some people come and go pretty quickly because
Yeah.
immediately I was like, oh,
Yep.
this isn't going to be a good fit.
So all those components are important, and I highly recommend putting together an SOP for your hiring process so that you know what you're doing every time you hire somebody new.
Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Hot Tea with Uma and Bree podcast, where we spill the truth about building a sports nutrition, fitness, or wellness business without the fluff. Today, we are tackling a question we both get asked all the time. Who should I hire? A virtual assistant, social media help, maybe another dietitian? If you're at that point in your business where things are picking up, but you're stretched way too thin, this one's for you. We're breaking down the real pros, cons, and priorities so you don't waste your time or money hiring the wrong sport. So let's get into it.
Woo. What a topic. I feel
Yeah.
like as business owners, as soon as you hop into entrepreneurship, there's like this pressure that you need to build a team really fast as soon as you start making money. And it's almost like the pressure you bring upon yourself because you kind of get caught up and you're like, oh shoot, like I gotta hire,
Yeah.
I need to quickly get someone. But it's easy to mess around and like not hire the right person, not do it at the right time. I know for me personally, and I've talked about this, I think on like our first or second podcast, how I hired out of like crises
Yeah.
because I was going on maternity leave and needed some extra support for my clients. And like, I just had this conversation with someone how I transitioned into a group practice by chance. It wasn't like
Hmm.
I had this detailed laid out plan. And that's okay. I think there is naturally going to be some confusion, some decision fatigue, some of that uncertainty whenever you are feeling the pressure of needing to hire.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things that you have to factor in and consider. So many options. And sometimes I honestly think too, just being in business, it you get to that point to where it's like, okay, you need to hire, but then it's also very difficult because you're scared of, okay, what if things don't go well? What if I end up having to do more work than I actually need to be doing because I'm trying to
Mm.
train this new hire?
Mm. Yep.
I think we all have dealt with that, those of us that are at that point in our business to where we do have a team. But then it's amazing how the minute that you actually do let go and give it a try, you're like, okay, that was a good choice. And then you're always
Mhm.
refining, figuring out your processes. How do I onboard better? What does that process look like for the future?
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
definitely feel you with that point about pressure. So, kind of thinking about like roles and what does each potential new hire do? We can kind of get into that. So, like, you think about a virtual assistant, they really handle the administrative pieces. I mean, they could be
Mhm.
helping with scheduling, client onboarding, even communicating with other practitioners
Yeah.
that may be calling, wanting to send referrals, wanting to just know more about your business,
Yeah.
more about your practice.
Mhm.
They can definitely filter through the emails and really do a lot of back end system things, such as maybe you're trying to build out a newsletter. I know for me that was
Mhm.
huge
Yes.
because I just didn't want to deal with all of it. Hey,
Girl.
what software should I go with? What makes the most sense from a cost standpoint and a reach, and all the
Yes.
things that I want in said newsletter.
Mhm.
So, I mean, for you, like, what would you say, was kind of your experience in terms of figuring out who to hire first?
Yeah.
Do you have like did you get a VA pretty shortly after your practice started, booming, and like what did that look
Yeah.
like for you?
I feel like up until this point, like I legit have only gone based off of like, what do I need right now? Right. Like,
Right.
so when I needed my first hire was a contract dietitian, because I needed someone to see my clients. Right. But that quickly changed because later, as I started hiring more clinicians, I realized, wait, okay, my next hire needs to look different. I don't need another dietitian right now. I need
Right.
someone to help take some of these tedious tasks off my to-do list so I can have some extra hours in the day,
Yeah.
right? Like it legit was like, okay, I need a very specific person. And, for me, understanding what that need was helped hire the right person because if you don't understand that and your brand is growing and you're like, oh, I'm just going to hire another dietitian or I'm just going to hire another, healthcare practitioner, then you realize, wait, I'm still in the same boat that I was in before I hired this person because
Yeah.
I don't have a VA or I don't have an office manager and
Yep.
I'm like doing this stuff DIYing it. Now the other thing I think for me is like what I need in our business is different from what Steph, who is my business partner, needs in our business,
Oh,
right?
that's a good
So
point.
while she needs someone that's like a social media VA, I need someone that's like in the weeds, office manager, like all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
we have to kind of collaborate to figure out who's going to be first with us. But first, it was a dietitian, and then we started hiring other types of admin support as our company grew. And we realized, okay, we're missing some gaps. Who's the perfect person for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand and feel that. For me, it was definitely a VA, just because, like you, my business bloomed a lot quicker than I thought it would, and I had to grow and figure it out a lot quicker than I thought I would. So it
Mm-hmm.
was like I need somebody else to take off some of this administration stuff, so I can continue to serve people and really make sure that I'm meeting their needs because that's what they're coming to me
Yeah.
for. And then eventually it was the dietitian. So I definitely agree with that. It depends on your business. If you do have a business partner, it depends on what the needs of each business partner have. Like there's just so many different
Mm-hmm.
things that go into it. But I think it really goes back to making sure we write things down, we identify,
Ooh.
okay, like what is the need? What are the pain points that we're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing at this moment? And where is my time needed most, in which I'm having to put more time forth to things that don't really necessarily need me to accomplish these
Yes.
tasks.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I feel like that, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, but like that's one of the biggest mistakes. And you hit the nail on the head of like, make sure you know what you need before
Yeah.
you go hiring. And so for you, like you already kind of mentioned one, but what are some of the common mistakes and like things that you've learned with hiring somebody?
Geez. Honestly, with hiring people, having like we've already said, making sure that you know what you need is most important because then you can really identify as you're putting it out there, whether you're putting out a post or putting something on Indeed, LinkedIn, you can really make sure that it's clear what you need and
Hmm.
who the type of candidates that you're wanting to apply for those positions, right? Or
Yeah.
reach out. So I think some mistakes, honestly, just to keep it real, because that's what we do on this, is thinking that, ooh, because this person presents themselves a certain way, whether it be the conversation or maybe what they have posted about or their resume,
Mm,
um, it may not be the best fit for you and for me and for
girl.
my business and my organization and the culture, right?
Hmm.
So that is definitely something I've learned. I've had some people come and go pretty quickly because
Yeah.
immediately I was like, oh,
Yep.
this isn't going to be a good fit.
Hmm.
And you had to be willing to just let those people go because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if you keep trying and making it work, it's just not going to work.
Hmm.
Multiple people are going to be frustrated.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
just keep it moving and keep going and find somebody
Yeah.
else.
Find somebody else. Pick somebody. Listen, I agree with everything you said. I think those are such crucial components. And y'all, like, you're gonna make mistakes. That's going to happen. Whether you're hiring for the first time or you're maybe like deep into it, like there are going to be mistakes that happen. I know for me, two major mistakes that I have made. One, because I hired out of chaos and like
Yeah.
crisis. Like the first thing was not taking my time in the hiring process,
Mm,
right? So I might have hired and be like, oh, this looks great, great resume. But there were some other layers of hiring that I have since implemented that I didn't have when I first did it, such as like, multiple interviews, or,
Yeah.
having them send in more about themselves. I even implemented sending in a video, girl. That's
Love that.
new, but it's been fantastic.
Love that.
But I didn't have the knowledge when I first hired to do something like that. And I was also hiring at a crisis. So I was like, oh, resume's good, hire them. You know what I mean? Like, don't
Yeah.
do that. Like, take your time with it. It's no rush. Like, you'll waste time and money just hiring.
Yeah.
And then the other thing for me was like, not having, just like you said, not everybody knows exactly what to do. Just because they're fantastic, they might be great and have excellent qualities, but the way your business is set up, you still have to teach them how to do things. And
Yeah.
I was rudely awakened when I found that out, because I was like, oh, you don't know how to do A, B, or C, and like, I know how to do this, so I'll just do it, right? And then you end up doing their job for them when
Yeah.
you hired them to do so. Creating those systems and SOPs, y'all, we talk about that every episode. If you have not caught on yet, like, have some systems and
SOPs.
SOPs in place, because it will help you to set some clear expectations with the people that you hire. So
Yeah.
let's hop into some tips, like, so
Yes.
what do you think? All right. For me, when I hire, there's some absolutely necessary things that I have to do every time I hire. And then I'm going to shoot it over to you, Uma, to kind of list out like what you think maybe can be a part of the listener's game plan. But first, and we already said this, you have to figure out where your time is going so you can
Yeah.
figure out who you need to hire. Like
Yeah.
a time audit, so you can figure out, okay, what's going on? What is my schedule looking like? What are some tasks that I love to do? What can I drop? What can somebody else do,
Yes.
and add into that? So I think that's always step number one. That's step number one for me. What about you? Like, how do you feel about auditing time?
Auditing time is huge. I mean, because, if it takes us a certain amount of time to do a task, and, your new hire is wonderful and they're very efficient and just detailed, but it takes quite a bit of time and they're not able to get those things done in a timely fashion, that may not be the best fit for you. Um,
Mhm.
I definitely think the time audit is essential because we don't realize how much time we spend on certain tasks that just eat
Yes.
away from the other things that we actually need to allocate our time to. So I couldn't agree more with the time audit. Also, just making sure that you clarify what the outcome is that you need. Do you need more time? Do you need more visibility? Do you need more help with clients? Like, what is the need? For me, I definitely needed to have more help initially when my business grew, my private practice specifically, with follow up calls, with
Mhm.
just emails, things like that, that are just very, very tedious, but need to be done, right?
Yes.
Just because the growth was so quick and so
Mhm.
much. And so I
Yep.
was just
Yeah.
like, gosh, this is as much as I need another dietitian, I need to make sure that this piece is organized first. And so because I was able to identify that, like what comes first, it was a VA and then it was the dietitian.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like what do you feel in terms of like for all the listeners, Bree, like in determining how many more hours to give this new hire, like what did that process look like for you when you
Yeah.
were looking for your candidates? Was it like, okay, ideally this person's going to work for us 10 hours a week,
Yeah.
20 hours a week?
That's a great question. I feel like there's a few things that matter when you're in this hiring process and figuring out the hours. So, like for me, if it was a client facing hire, so like a clinician,
Yeah.
now I'm looking at, okay, what is my investment and what time do I need that clinician to put in so that I can get ROI or return on investment
Yeah.
every month, right? So, like if I'm hiring a contract dietitian, I say, okay, this is how much I'm going to be spending on them every month to
Mm,
provide, resources, or even just provide my expertise, because I do some mentorship when it comes to my clinicians. What does that time look like and how will I get ROI from that? And I kind of determine the hours I need from them based off of that, right?
yeah.
And then if it's not client facing, then I'm kind of looking at my own schedule and I say, okay, like this VA or this manager will be able to take A, B, C, D, and E task off
Mm-hmm.
my list. And how many hours is that, right? Like
Yeah.
determining ROI from that perspective, but also saying, okay, like in my budget, because I know
Mm-hmm.
this is going to come
Yeah.
straight out of my pocket, right? And
Yeah.
like I
That
might
part.
not see that immediate ROI, like with a dietitian or another clinician. So
Yeah.
I have to say, okay, can I budget this? How many hours can I afford to bring on this VA or whatever that would then, give me some extra time, and then I can spend that time working on the business versus in the business. So
Amen.
that's always been my approach to determining like the hours and like
Yeah.
basis there.
Yeah, for me, it was really, it's always been a little bit of that, but also just about like, gosh, for the client facing piece, how many like referrals, like how many people are coming in,
Mhm.
whether they're directly from clinicians or they're just
Yeah.
coming from our social media pages or just other sources, word of mouth. Because that always allows me to say, okay, hey, does this person, do I need somebody part-time, do I need somebody full-time?
Yeah.
And then depending on what those answers are, then I can put out feelers. Okay, so
Mhm.
number one, from my RD network group, who do you know, is anybody interested? And then
Yep.
beyond that point, moving forward. So it's, for me, it's definitely been about like, hey, these people are waiting to be served,
Mhm.
so who's ready to work and who's ready to really
Yes.
build a practice within a practice.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I think for everybody listening, it's really important to figure that piece out, first and foremost, along with everything else that we've said, before you put out feelers, before you put out your job post or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just add like one final point on like the hiring and like the game plan that you put together. Like make sure that you're well aware of what your business goals are,
Yeah,
because it's easy to hire and like then forget, oh shoot, like I had these goals that I was trying to achieve, and like then you think the new hire maybe hasn't helped you, but really you never implemented them into the business plan in your business goals. So it
yeah,
was never aligned. And I think that's important to establish from the beginning when you hire someone and hey, these are the tasks that I want you to do. And this is how I would love for you to help our business grow. And here's why, because in the next 3 to 6 months, this is where we're going to be,
yeah.
and now you can say, okay, we've got some KPIs, key performance indicators that show me if you're doing your job or not, period.
Right.
So
Absolutely. That is such a good
that's
point.
important.
And before we move on, I think to add on to that, it's really important to ask those questions in the hiring process.
Yes.
Why do you want to work with my organization? What makes you stand
Yes.
out? Why do you feel you would be a good fit? Where do you see yourself in the next 3, 6 months, year with my organization?
Mm,
What can you bring? Like, what's your spark? What's your
that
flair?
part.
Because again, going back to the culture piece, you can
Mhm.
know very quickly if
Yep.
it's a good fit or not by
Yes.
just what those answers to those questions end up being. I
Mm.
promise y'all, very
Ooh,
quickly
big
you can know.
facts. Big facts, y'all. Take notes per usual.
Yes, so kind of, I mean, gosh, anything else that we want to say before we kind of share about the hiring process?
Honestly, you guys, like we said before, mistakes are going to happen, but that game plan that we kind of just laid out for you guys, that is going to be most important, right? Like do your time audit, make sure you know what you need so that way you can clarify, okay, this is how I can determine if this hire is going to fit for me, or if this hire is going to do what I need them to do to help me to reach my business goals in the next 3 to 6 months. Like all of that plays an important role. And then also understanding, okay, what kind of hours am I putting towards this hire? What's the ROI going to be? Whether it's client facing or non-client facing, like figuring out, does it fit in your budget?
Yeah.
Does it not? Right? Like, are they not going to be directly generating income? Because if not, then you got to figure out, okay, if they're taking these hours off, how can I now work on my business? So all those components are important, and I highly recommend putting together an SOP for your hiring process so that you know what you're doing every time you hire somebody new. Okay. You will forget the
Yes.
process. Okay. I've done that before. I've forgotten everything and
Same.
been like, shoot, what did I do last time? So just write it down, y'all,
Write it
please.
down, y'all. put pen to paper and jot it down so that way you don't have to deal with the whole getting everything out of your head when you need it and you
Mhm.
can't.
Mm. Period. Period.
Well, the main thing's the main thing. There's no one size fits all, guys. Make sure that you first of all know exactly what you need. We can't emphasize that enough.
Mhm.
The right first hire depends on where you're at and what you need help with the most. So, we're interested in hearing what you guys have to say. We would love for you to share who you're thinking of hiring first, or what you wish that you knew before your first hire. We will definitely continue to share resources with you guys on our social media page. Speaking of social media, guys, if you don't know yet, we do have an Instagram page. Oh my goodness, I don't even know why it's taken us so long
Come on,
to put this
IG.
out on an episode. Okay, so follow us on Instagram at Hot Tea with Uma and Bree. I mean, it's that simple. It's all one word. We post all of the clips of our previous episodes. We give you guys teasers. We would love for you guys to be able to follow us and build a community on social media. And guys, we look forward to chatting with you guys again and allowing you guys to listen to what we have to say about all things sports, nutrition, wellness, and the world of being an athletic professional. And our
Yes.
next episode is going to be about how to achieve work life balance as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. My
Mm.
goodness, I can
The
tell you one
tea.
thing, it is definitely always a work in progress, but I'm not going to share too much more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, we've got lots of deets that we're sharing in there. You'll love it. So tune in and don't forget to drop us a review, y'all, because if
Yes.
you love it, let the people know.
Yes, let us know. Share all this on your social media too. Until next time. Oh, we got to toast.
Oh,
What do we
y'all,
do?
not us forgetting the tea. The tea.
Yes.
Hot
So
tea.
great to spill the tea with you always.
Yes. Bye,
Bye
y'all.
guys.